There's a lot of NFL reporters out there. One of them I trust is Ian Rappaport. He decided or reported a couple days ago. Ian Rappaport reported that Aaron Rodgers is, quote, torn on what to do in Green Bay. So that's important. So let's start with it. That's important because if you were in a relationship, I'm in a marriage right now, I'm not torn because there's a lot of good things in it. I can't think of anything that's really bad. But if you're in a relationship and you're torn, it probably tells me there is something big missing that you think you can get somewhere else. That word matters. Because let's look at the things and the boxes that Green Bay does check for Aaron Rodgers. And these things matter a lot. Okay, let's look at things that matter for Aaron Rodgers. They check a lot of boxes. So let's go to the scoreboard here. Ease of winning. It's a terrible division. He's virtually guaranteed, as Minnesota's in a rebuild and Detroit's in a rebuild and, Chicago's in a rebuild. He's going to win the division, get a bye in the first round. Relationship with the head coach. Well, it's not bad. I mean, they joke around a lot. They're generationally same age. I would say that's very good. And it's very important. That's very, very, very important. I mean, Brady just retired. And there's, discussions about turbulence with the head coach. Familiarity, continuity. Well, that's a check. That matters. Like, we're all kind of creatures of habit, right? You know how to drive to work. You got your bosses. You got your parking space. There's a continuity and familiarity in a small town. He likes it. He's happy there. Compensation. Not an issue. A lot of times people leave jobs. They don't feel they're fairly compensated. That's a big one. That's like number 1 or 2 on most checklists. His compensation's fair. Colleagues he likes. Well, he tells us he does. He may like the new guy in Denver, but we do know that he's got really good relationships in Green Bay. Reasonable amount of control. Well, they don't have an owner. He wanted a voice in the room. He got himself Randall Cobb. So I think it's reasonable to say, yeah, he's got some control there. As much as any player would have. Okay, so check. Depth of talent. They don't have it. You watch the game against San Francisco, folks. After a touchdown on a scripted first drive, no more touchdowns. Let me ask you, when Davante Adams was bracketed, who did he throw to in that game? A running back, Aaron Jones. He doesn't have all these years with all those Green Bay receivers, he doesn't trust any of them outside of Davante. Cap space, a problem. Now, this is a problem for any team with a very expensive quarterback. So I'm not blaming anybody here. Aaron's great. He's paid a lot cap space. So Denver's top 6 in cap space. But let's focus on the depth of talent. What is happening to the NFL? Another game. What is happening to the NFL? Like, weapons now are really important. Think about the Rams. They've got the number 1 volume wide receiver in league history in Cooper Kupp. They've got Robert Woods coming back, excellent number 2, top 5 number 2 in the league, top 5, 10. They got a third in Van Jefferson. They drafted 2 receivers they like, and they're still going to bring OBJ back. And I would not be surprised, maybe a little shocked if the Rams didn't draft another wide receiver. I just read a story this morning. The Chargers want Chris Godwin. They've already got a loaded receiver room. They want another one. Aaron doesn't trust a second receiver there. And because the Packers are up against the cap space, they're going to let go of Zadarius Smith, an excellent linebacker. Now, he had, I think, back surgery, but he's a very good player. So Aaron would stay in Green Bay. The division's easy. He likes his coach. He's got control. What he's telling you is, we don't have enough good players. You're not torn in any relationship. If you check all those boxes, if you just move depth of talent to Green Bay, what would you be torn over? There'd be nothing to be torn over. He looks at Denver. It's Cortland Sutton. It's Jerry Jeudy. It's Tim Patrick. KJ Hamler was hurt. It's Noah Fant. It's a young star running back. So I think he's not looking at it going, yeah, I can't wait to play Mahomes twice a year. Because there's a story out today, Denver's in the lead if he leaves. Now, I've told you from the very beginning, I don't think he's leaving Green Bay. I think Aaron likes the power of having no owner. He's the biggest guy in the state. I think he likes it. I don't think he wants to be a villain. I don't think he has the guts to be hated. I don't think it's in his personality. I think he's staying in Green Bay. That's always been my take. And he's just, he does what he does. He's pushing it out, kind of forcing Green Bay's front office to make some moves here. I'm going to give you more time. But this whole thing about he's torn because he sees what you and I see. A game against San Francisco where after a scripted opening drive, they couldn't score a touchdown. Green Bay does not have a Super Bowl roster of elite skill talent. They don't. Denver does. That is the only reason he's torn. Everything else, outside of depth of talent, works in Green Bay's favor. I never understand this argument. Well, the cap's going up next year, so you can overpay for this player. Oh, so you don't really understand how, economics work. If you doubled your income next year, you still want to pay 4 times for that Ford Explorer? Or do you think that everything's a value proposition? Outside of the occasional experience we all have with our kids, you go skiing, you take them to Hawaii or the Caribbean. You're not sitting there counting pennies on that. But we're all we all have budgets, right? And the NFL's got a salary cap. So I always love this. Oh, the cap's going up. Cap's gone up $90 million in 8 years. It goes up about $10 million a year. There's never a time I want to pay Kirk Cousins $45 million. I don't care if the cap was $120 million. The less cap hit an average player is, the more good players I can have around it. Right now, J.C. Jackson's a great corner for the Patriots. They're moving off him. He's a great corner. He wants $20 million. You're not that great. It's a value proposition. And so this morning there's a story there. The Cowboys have, last week, they're moving off Amari Cooper, and now they're moving off DeMarcus Lawrence. They've asked him to take a pay cut. He said no. He's probably gone. DeMarcus Lawrence, good player. Amari Cooper's a really good player. This is why you don't pay Zeke 2 years early, and it's why you don't pay Dak Mahomes money. The argument was always, just the cap's going up. There's never a time that Dak should make around what Mahomes does. You watch Mahomes against Josh Allen. You watch that AFC round. It was one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life. It was unbelievable. Does Dak look like either of those guys? The answer is no. So let's stop pretending because the cap's going up, you can overpay for a B quarterback. By the way, that's what the Falcons did with Matt Ryan. Have you noticed what's happened to Atlanta since they did that? They haven't been in a bad division. Non-playoff team. Have you noticed the Vikings since they started paying huge money to Kirk Cousins? Yeah, they kind of regress, don't they? There is never a moment to pay average to above average. And I think I've always said, hey, Dak's a franchise quarterback. But you guys just all want to wheel out the wheelbarrow and give $45 million. I'll give it to Josh Allen. I'll give it to Patrick Mahomes. You can give a lot of that money to Aaron or Russell Wilson. There's a handful of guys. You start paying Matt Ryan that. You start paying Kirk Cousins that and Dak that. And this is what you get. Dak's got too many wins against the Giants, the Eagles, and the Washington football team, and not enough wins in the last 3 years against great teams. They faced a wild card team at home and lost. That's what they are. So you want to stop telling me, all you economists out there. I mean, for a while you were all epidemiologists. Now you're all economists. You just want to pay. There's never a time to pay average players great money. And Dak is a good franchise quarterback. He's not great. He's not special. He doesn't have that kind of Mahomes, Josh Allen arm talent. You're not running around like Russell Wilson or Kyler or Josh Allen. Not doing that. He's good. He's dependable. He's a good kid. He's a hard worker. There's a lot of intangibles I like, but his tangibles, they're a notch below Mahomes. So when you're quarterback, there's a real trend here. Even for great quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Aaron, the more money you take, you don't have a great second corner or a great third wide receiver. You start looking at these cap hits, the biggest in the NFL last year. Matt Ryan, no playoffs. Rodgers, one and done. Kirk Cousins, regressing. Let's move past Deshaun. Ryan Tannehill, one and done. Russell Wilson, 4th place. Dak, one and done. You say, what about Mahomes? Okay, Mahomes is probably the greatest quarterback talent in the league. I would rather not pay him $35, but I'm going to pay him $35. He's also a good kid. I got no drama with him. Some family drama. I got no Patrick Mahomes drama. But you start looking at all the highest paid quarterbacks. There's a trend here. The teams are regressing. The teams are one and done. The teams don't have that third receiver, that second corner, that second decent tackle. DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper, good players. See ya. You can see it coming for miles.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.